Hear me out.
What?
This might make the perfect run-in stand.
You're daft.
Yes.
This is going to take us 4 weeks to get all the crap off of this thing and make a run-in stand out of it.
But it'll be a cool one. And it'll obviously fit a small block Ford.
You know what we could do is we could see if the guys at RRS, maybe we can get a set of shock tower notching, the shock tower notching kit from them. Then we can put anything in here
Yeah.
for a run-in stand. Why am I agreeing with you?
Because it's a cool idea. And this is just sitting here.
Well, it does kind of bum me out. I mean, we bought this thing for RRS to be able to get the rear axle set up out of it.
But they don't need the front.
They don't need the front half of the car. They don't need the roof of the car. So I've got the roof of the car sold.
And the frame rails are pretty much
They're
done.
enough.
Yeah. No, they're enough for what we want to do.
Oh, yeah,
For
absolutely.
a car, though, they're not that
They're
good.
not great. No, I wouldn't use this car. This car's dead
No.
meat. So. All right, guys, what do you think about Cam's idea for a running stand?
I like it. Could you imagine if we get like the grill front end and hood
No,
and all work?
no,
That'd
no,
be cool.
no, no,
Just go in the shop,
No.
fire it up.
no.
I think so.
Well,
Here we are.
there it is. We haven't painted anything yet, but I wanted to kind of go over where we're at.
Yep.
We've put a lot of video time into this, and a lot of guys are probably getting pretty bored with what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do one last video on this thing before we go in and we do the engine stand and all the stuff that gets this thing completely ready to go back in the car. And kind of talk about what it costs to do this, because that's one of the things that a lot of guys don't realize. One of the things I'm going to tell you guys immediately on this is that if you want to know every jot and tittle of what we did as far as parts is concerned, that's going to be in the description below, down here underneath where we're at on the video. You look down in there and it'll have a complete breakdown on all the parts. But bottom line, we basically did this for right at $815
Yep.
total. Now that's everything. That's tools, that's engine parts, that's gaskets, that's a whole 9 yards. So I figure at $815-ish, that's not too bad. You're looking at a long block from like down at the auto parts store, which that comes from what we like to call the puppy mill.
Yeah. Who knows? The unknown.
The unknown comic.
It was about 2,000.
About $2,000. So I mean,
Yeah. 800, 2,000.
and locally, because we went and checked that as well.
Yep.
Locally, for a small block rebuild on anything, actually it looks to me like pretty much anything, 390 big block, small block, whatever, doesn't seem to make any difference. It's about $2,600.
Yep.
And that's taking your engine and redoing, which that can be a better way to go in certain instances.
If you're uninitiated into engines, don't feel like messing with it, that's them disassembling, reassembling, figuring out what parts are reusable, what parts are not reusable, and going from there.
Yeah, because then you just take it, put it in the bed of a truck, take it to the engine builder and say, fix this.
Yeah, a couple weeks later, come back.
Come back, pick it up, you got a brand new engine. Well, not brand new, but a rebuilt engine.
Yeah.
The advantage in something like that, and the advantage in what we kind of did here, is if we had wanted to go in and start doing more to it, like putting a different set of cylinder heads on it, different pistons in it, because these are basically regular old cast pistons. There's no hyper-eutectic pistons going on. There's no forged pistons going on. It's just...
Not an ounce of fancy on this engine.
That's a mustard sandwich.
The only fancy thing would be the new distributor.
And the front dress.
Yeah, that'll be fancy.
That's going to be fancy.
Yeah.
The CVF front dress and the distributor we got from National Parts Depot and the intake we got from Summit, the end of fancy.
Balanced.
It'll look really pretty and cool, but as far as a performance engine, we've already said that 150 times on this episodes.
This ain't it.
It ain't it. It's just a garden variety small block 302. Very garden variety. I mean, it even has the crappy heads on it. It doesn't have the great heads. Kylie, I'm not bagging on your engine. I'm just telling you, it's a garden variety 302. It's a mustard sandwich. That's what we're going to call it.
I mean, this is basically what you'd get out of any non-matching car that you're going to buy today.
Yeah, if you're going to,
You don't know what you're going to get.
You don't. And I mean, that's exactly what this was. We got really fortunate
Yeah.
on this thing.
Yeah, we got really lucky digging into this that there wasn't worse.
Because that one that I did back on Manic Mechanical, put a link to that below me here. When we took apart that 302, I ran into where the crank was down into the babbiting material. Is it bronze or brass?
Brass.
Brass.
I think.
It was
Or
already down.
copper.
Copper,
Yeah.
brass,
One of those metals.
One of them metals that ain't steel or aluminum. It got down into that. And when you get those kind of instances, you got to start over and just kind of go in and do everything. Regrind the crank. If you're lucky, you get to go 10-10 on it. You hope you don't have to go any more than 10-10. So this engine was incredibly nice for that because it didn't even have a ring ridge in it.
Yeah. If this had a ring ridge on the cylinders, that would have been boring. If the crank had been messed up, that's polishing.
Now, he doesn't mean boring like it's not exciting. What he means by that is with a ring ridge, the ring ridge is actually at the top of the block. It's right up around the upper edge of it. And if there's a ring ridge there, you won't even be able to, sometimes you can't even get the pistons out of it.
I've had to knock them out and break piston rings before doing it. It's the land above the top compression ring, the space between the top of the piston and the first compression ring. The ring makes a little ridge right there that the pocket,
it won't come out. No. And so we got real lucky with that. The engine hadn't seen that many miles, I don't think. No. The engine was marginally well cared for.
Yeah.
The oil was black as soot when we pulled it out of this, but that could be partly our fault from doing short startups, letting fuel get down inside the engine.
When we got it, it was tuned horribly.
It was in a really bad shape for tuning. It tuned out decently. I mean, it didn't run badly, but we just kind of wanted to go in and see. One of the things we wanted to see is if we could even do this. I mean, Cam's done a few of these, but he's done this kind of stuff on bigger format engines, some of the diesel stuff and all that. He's done N-frames with all those. We've never done a 302 to this detail. So we wanted to see if we could do it. And we made some mistakes.
No learning experience is complete without mistakes.
I don't know if I want to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about this. All right, so when we first got this engine, we thought we had a standard bore.
Yep.
Because we're stupid. Because we made that natural assumption that everything's going to be right as rain. It wasn't. And then we went in and we grabbed the mic and we mic'd the bore on it. And
we're at 4.03.
And that was wrong.
Yes. Because we ordered 30 thousandths over piston rings.
But first we ordered standard bore piston rings.
Yes.
Then we ordered 30 thousandths piston rings, and the gap was so wide you could have run a Mack truck through
it was the same gap as the standard bore piston rings. So boom, we have a problem. Measured it again with the same calipers, and I measured 4060.
Yeah. And if we had taken the time to go in and clean the top of the piston off, we would have seen that they were 60 over pistons.
Yeah. That too. In my defense, all the pistons that I've seen with oversized markings were really big. These were really tiny.
Yeah, it was really small type. I mean, it was like 16, like I don't know, that big.
It looked like a legal document.
It did. It looked like legal documents on the top of a piston. Thought maybe it was something the CIA was trying to move.
Trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
That's it.
You should have bought it.
Sucker. So basically that's really this engine. Now what I want to go into a little bit right now is the tools, because there are specialty tools you're going to need, and we went through that a little bit throughout the show, but this is something where we're going through what the costing was. We, as much as we do around here, we had to buy a ring compressor.
Yeah.
And so I got thinking about that, and we had to do the V8 camshaft or cam installation and removal tool for the bearings.
I already had that one, but it's 80. I think that one's
it's like 70 or 80 bucks. I think I priced it out for the list that we did on Amazon. It was like 70 bucks.
Yeah, I got the cheapest one.
Yeah, you get a cheap one. I mean, you're not going to be doing this every day.
You're going to be smacking it with a hammer.
Which is fun. Then we had, let's see, you're going to need a torque wrench. Torque wrench is going to be very important to what you're doing on a lot of this stuff for torquing head bolts and all that kind of thing. So you're going to have a torque wrench for that. And I priced out an expensive one. Yep. It's a Craftsman torque wrench. I'm not saying that Craftsman is what it was in the 70s, but they still make very decent tools. And it looked like a really good torque wrench. So you can go cheaper, you can go more expensive.
If you can splurge for the digital, I recommend a digital.
Digital, man, I tell you, I didn't really think I liked digital. I've got a Proto. I've got my uncle's old Proto.
Split beam, yeah.
Bill, if you wanted it back, it's here at the house. You just come over and get it. Anyway, we have a Proto that we use doing some stuff on Logan's car, and that was nice, but having that thing give you the light up and then the beep.
Yeah, and also for disassembly, if we had it there, you could tell like connecting rod torque what it was. And you can see if a bolt is stretched right away.
Nice.
Because one will be loose.
I didn't know it would do that.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And then finally we have the cylinder hone. If you're going to do this like we did with doing what we call a dingle ball hone, I'm not sure if that's the correct term, but that's what we're calling a dingle ball hone. You're going to have about $50 in a dingle ball hone. You're going to make sure you get the right one for your engine size. Like if you're doing something with a 3-inch bore, you need to make sure it's the 3-inch hone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, on out to what you're going to be doing. Yep. Otherwise, you'll be doing like us and buying another dingle ball hone because it's either not big enough or it's too big. So there you go. So those are the tools you're going to need for this. Now I'm going to kind of break off of that a little bit and go into good, better, best. Is this the best way to go?
No. That's it.
Wow.
For your average guy that wants to do a performance build or something like that, no, I wouldn't do this.
Well, I mean, again, when we did this, we prefaced it with saying,
as this has been built, yes, it is a good idea because you cannot get somebody else to do this for less.
I think our process on this is kind of the problem, though, because we're car guys and we're hot rod guys.
Yeah, I want to go fast.
There's a number of people out there that are running early Mustangs, Fairlanes, whatever, Camaros, Chevelles, and they just want to go to the cruise in their cool old car. It could be a 4-door, it could be a 2-door, and they've got a little 305 in it, and that's all they want. They don't care about going fast. This kind of thing is really good for that part of the market.
Yeah.
If you move from there up into, I want a little bit more cam. If you're starting to take your engine apart and you're saying those kind of words, I think I'll bump the cam up a little bit. I think I'm going to put a 4-barrel intake manifold on this. I think I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. Start looking at crate engines.
Yeah. Just save your money.
Save your money. You're going to have to save up a little bit of money. They make, you can get basic performance crate engines for roughly $3,500.
That has a warranty.
It has a warranty. Usually they run anywhere from 300 to 365 horse for a small block 302. The thing about that is you're going to get a stock decent head. If you play your cards right, in some instances, like on the Ford side, you can even do it with a roller cam in it. You can get an E-block with a roller cam setups already, and it's already in there. So if you do get that and want to upgrade the cam, you can just pull that right out of there, the cam right out of there, and put a different cam in it. But you're going to have to be careful about compression ratios and things like that. What I will say about those kind of engines is know your heads. Whatever brand you're playing with, if you're getting a crate engine from somewhere else, know your cylinder heads because they're going to give you part numbers usually on what the cylinder heads are. And like if it's, let's just say for some reason, and I know they're not doing this, but if it were a 351 Windsor and you read it and it says it gets the C9 OE head, that's good. That's good. That's the bigger valves. It's the closed chamber head for the Windsors. That's the iron head that you want. It's not as good as an aluminum head, but when you jump to the aluminum heads, you're in the $5,000 to $7,000 range on those, depending on which way you go. 347 small block, 383 Chevy, any of those things is going to be a little bit more. And if you're in the Mopar ranks, it gets even harder. It gets more expensive.
Yeah, you got to go talk to the bank before you go talk to them.
Because when you go to the Mopar side of things, you're looking at about $2,400 for a basic rebuild, and it's going to go up from there.
Yep.
Like that's a 318 small block with nothing done to it, long block, $2,400. All that to say this, it's going to boil down to what your 90% is. We talk about that a ton on this show, and in my opinion, it applies probably better than anything other than it's not a problem, it's a project that we talk about sometimes, or while we're here. You need to know what you're going to be doing with your car 90% of the times. If you don't know that, you're going to flounder around. I don't know what the correct terminology on that is. It's like it's founder. I don't know.
Either way, you'll be flopping like a fish.
You'd be flopping like a You'd be flopping like a fish. Because you're going to start doing little things and you go, wow, that's getting expensive. I don't want to do that. And so you kind of halfway do the engine. You kind of halfway do the transmission. But if you start off and say, I want it to make about 350 horse. I want to be able to drive it to the cruise in. I want to be able to go on long trips on the road. Whatever those things are, then you know how to set your engine up.
Yeah.
Or anything on the
Have a
car.
plan before you go into it. If you want to do anything other than stock.
Yeah, and I mean, we've run into that before. We change our mind in the middle of the plan.
Yeah.
You will do that sometimes. But That's the 64 Falcon's a good example of that. The 347 back here was supposed to originally just be a carbureted engine, and we were going to be done with it, and we're just going to drive it around. Now we're talking about doing superchargers
EFI.
and EFI, and
Another drive kit.
it's getting out of hand.
Shaker hood.
That's going to be fun though. That would be cool if we make that happen.
This is how we talk ourselves into it.
Because I talked myself out of it for a little while, and then I talked to my friend Larry Shirley, and Larry Shirley, he works at Finish Master in Augusta, super metalworking guy, knows his stuff. And Larry's like, "Oh, that's not that hard to do," but you know Larry, so it's like Larry's like, "Nothing's hard to do." So
At squirrel speed, nothing.
Larry does operate at squirrel speed. All right, folks, so that's our little episode for this week. I have been under the weather. I was out sick, let's just call it that, for a few days, and I'm still not quite back where I need to be. So we're trying not to do anything too strenuous at this stage of the game. But something strenuous that you should try to do is to go out and check out Patreon. Please do it. It helps us out around here. If we've done anything to help you out in your car over the last few years, and you think, hey, I'd like to do something to contribute, Patreon is a great way to go. So go check out the Patreon account. We have varying levels that you can do stuff with. At the $10 a month level, you get monthly meetings with me on Zoom. Other than that, we have another way for you to say thank you to us, and that's our Super Thanks. Best idea with the worst name in YouTube history.
Super duper.
That's probably next. If you go over like $100 bucks, they give you a super duper
Get a
thing.
little badge.
Little card you can go on. Anyway, it's Super Thanks. Minimum on that is $2. If you don't like what we did, just give us $2. We'll know you don't like it, but you did like us enough to give us the $2. We're still looking for that $1.5 million. I know you're out there somewhere watching our show with millions of dollars in the bank doing absolutely nothing. Think of the good you can do through us.
You can do this.
You can help do this. All right, folks, do me a favor. Be kind to each other, love on each other, treat each other nice. You guys have a great week. We'll see you next time on Autorestomod.
Now we gotta build a cart.
No, we have a cart. We have to modify the cart to make it
We have
work.
to rebuild the whole cart.
Basically, we're rebuilding it.
Use the same cart.
Yeah, we're rebuilding the cart.
But hey, it'll be original.
I don't want to build a cart. I don't want to build a cart. I really don't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, because
You gotta film it.
you got to film it. And where I'm at right now, I can't even say, let's go get a beer.
I'll go get a beer. I'll
Thanks.
enjoy it for you.
I'll just leave. I won't even be here. You'll see me get in the car and
Leave
I'll
your
go.
own house.
I'll leave my own house if you're drinking a beer at my place. If I can't have one, why? Nobody wins. Have a great week, guys.